Hello, welcome to my channel. If you haven't checked out my page before, my name is Megan, and if you have, I'm just glad that you're back and you're watching this. All right, so today's video, it's going to be a series. I'm going to do three, and overall, the three of them are going to be on helpful tips and tricks the day of prolotherapy if you're a patient at Caring Medical. More specifically, if you are getting prolotherapy on your neck. This one is the first one in the series, and it is on the before you actually go to Caring Medical. So the morning before, things to prepare, what to wear, things to have that might be helpful. What I found helpful, essentially, is what I'm sharing. All right, so the first thing that I wanted to share is I found it really beneficial to think through and manually write down or type in my phone questions that I might have for Dr. Hauser or chiropractor Brian that I'm going to want to ask them day of. So like for me today, I was assessed by chiropractor Brian on my lower back, and I had a lot of specific questions about that, and I didn't want to forget them in the hustle and bustle of everything going on. And then I had several specific questions for Dr. Hauser because we were reviewing some of my CNA MRIs, and so I would say write them down because it's unfortunate when you realize after you forgot to ask important questions. And for me, at least, that has happened. All right, the next tip I would say is what you do with your mental space before you go into injections. So for me, for example, my appointment wasn't until 1:15 today. So I had the whole morning beforehand. And for me, ruminating and thinking about the injections before is not helpful. It's uncomfortable, and I'd rather not think about the pain more than I have to. And so a comparison that I thought of in my mind to help explain it, or how I helped explain it to the people with me, my dad and my friend Danielle, is it's the exact same mentality I have when I go into a race. I'm a runner, for those of you who don't know. I'm not running right now, obviously, because of neck instability, but beforehand, when I would go into a race, I didn't want to think about the running itself besides like the strategy, because I knew that if I was running my best, it was going to be painful no matter what. If I was putting my best foot forward, and kind of in a similar way in prolotherapy, I at least find the injections uncomfortable and painful. And so thinking about it, knowing it's going to happen, is just not beneficial because it's going to happen either way. And so I'd rather not add to my worry and my nervousness. So a request that I have found helpful and make to the people who are with me is to just not mention it or bring up the injections themselves. We, of course, talk about the car ride there and logistical things, but I ask them to avoid the conversation of injections day of. We can talk about it night before, even right after. I don't mind. All right, next thing. So what I do the day of in the morning is I shower beforehand. If you haven't gotten neck injections before, what they will tell you at Caring Medical is to not shower the day of, post-prolo. And I'm not sure exactly, they write it down how many days after, but you're not supposed to because you technically have opened wounds, I guess you could call them. They're small little holes, but to avoid infection, they ask you or recommend that you don't shower. So I like to stay as clean for as long as possible, so I will take a shower right before I go in. And then if you're someone who shaves, I would recommend you shave as well if that is your preference. I prefer not being prickly, and so And I have really thick hair that grows back fast, so sorry, I had to move something. But so I will shave the morning of as well. Next tip, these are 2 things that I would suggest packing. I first always pack Tylenol. During Prolotherapy, they will offer you some different pain options. I have chosen not to take any of them. I don't want them, so the one thing I will do is Tylenol. You're not supposed to take Advil if you don't know that, but you are allowed Tylenol, so I pack it, and then I also pack a water bottle, and I will take 2 Tylenol right before I receive injections. Next thing I pack heating pads. If you don't know this as well, you're not supposed to ice your neck afterwards because they want to keep it inflamed. But you are allowed heat, and the heat is relieving. So right now you probably can't tell, but like in here, I have these little heating pads that I stuck to the back of my neck brace, and the warmth is kind of relieving. So I would pack some of those. They will offer them to you there, but just in case, it might be beneficial to have some on hand. The next thing I pack is a zip-up jacket. Right now I'm wearing one. And the reason being, or you could just wear it there and you don't have to pack it, but I pack one because it's hard to move around afterwards because you're so sore, especially if you're additionally getting injections into your shoulders. I had to do that my first round, and so I couldn't really move my arms. You're supposed to keep them decently still, and so being able to just zip up or button up and down in the front is, I would say, just the easiest way to go. The next thing I suggest is wearing shoes that are really easy to put on. So I've worn flip-flops, and then the other thing I've worn are just Tevas strap-on shoes, and my friend has literally just strapped them on for me because they're really easy. I don't know if you've ever tried to shove somebody's foot into like a sneaker or a tie-up shoe or shoes with laces, but it's harder. The first time I wore like my Reeboks, and we were trying to shove my feet into them for a little while. So I would recommend flip-flops or easily slide-on shoes. Next thing, this is probably more niche and specific to some people. I have dysautonomia, and so it's hard for me to regulate my temperature, and I will randomly break out in a sweat, which is unfortunate. But for whatever reason, whenever I'm getting a chiropractic adjustment, I start sweating because of it's just abrupt and it's tiring. It's ultimately always beneficial, but I sweat a lot, so I would recommend packing paper towels, so just wipe yourself down. They have them there, but I have found it more helpful to just have them on hand right in front of me. And then with that, if you want to pack extra deodorant to apply if you don't like being smelly. All right, so next section is clothing. This is more female specific because I wear female clothes, but some of these concepts can be applied to if you're a man as well. First, I would recommend wearing bottoms that are just comfortable because you'll probably be in them a while. I thought of this earlier, and I'm probably gonna try it out next time. It's just maybe wearing whatever you're gonna wear to bed there, and then when you get home, you don't even have to worry about changing before going to sleep, because the less movement, just the easier it is. That might be helpful. If you're a female, in terms of if you do wear a bra, I would suggest a bra that either fastens in the front or clips. It's a lot harder to have to move your arms around the back. For me, I just wear, if you haven't heard of these before, they're nippies. They're like just tape or material that you stick on your nipples, I've found that the most comfortable and just easiest because it's the least to maneuver around. And then the next thing, I mentioned the jacket or the button-up, button-down shirt. I would say something that ties in the front I would wear. That's really helpful. All right, last two things. If you're a girl, I would suggest not wearing makeup because the medical table is similar to a massage table and that you're face down and half of it will get wiped off or it just is not as comfortable, I would say. And then the last tip is hair. If you have a lot of hair, wear it up. If you're not wearing it up, they'll probably ask you to wear it up. The first 2 times I wore it in a bun, a tight bun, because for me at least, injections go halfway up my hairline because I have instability all the way up to my top vertebrae, which is into your hairline. And so there's needles going in this part of your head and they need to have visibility. So the tighter the bun, probably the better. Or what I did today is I wore 2 French braids and I just did them really tight. And that was helpful as well. All right, that's it. I will upload the other 2 videos later on.